Hello, and welcome to part 4 of our 4-part remake of our 2019 trip to the Viking Homelands. Join us aboard the Viking Sea as this part of our journey takes us to St. Petersburg, Russia, Helsinki, Finland, and finishes back on the Scandinavian peninsula with Stockholm, Sweden. Our first and only stop in Russia was in the beautiful city of St. Petersburg. As it seems with anything Russian, the history of St. Petersburg is rather complicated. Both claimed and settled by not only Finland but Sweden, the actual city was founded by Tsar Peter the Great on the site of a captured Swedish fortress in 1703 and was named after the apostle St. Peter. Besides being known as St. Petersburg, it has also been known as Petrograd, Leningrad, and then following the de-Leninization of Russia, following the collapse of the USSR, returned to the name of St. Petersburg. One of the many iconic pieces of architecture is St. Isaac's Cathedral. Originally built as a cathedral, it was turned into a museum by the Soviet government in 1931 and has remained a museum since then, with only occasional church services held in a side cathedral. Architecturally, the touch of the Soviet Union was light on St. Petersburg, with many historic buildings surviving, with the incredible palace of Catherine the Great, now the Hermitage, a museum housing one of the largest and most extensive collections of art in the world. Another one of St. Petersburg's most iconic sites is the fantastical Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood. The church is built on the site of the assassination of Emperor Alexander II in 1881. Truly magnificent on the outside as well as the inside, the Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood today serves as a secular museum as well as still functioning as a church. Another fantastical and beautiful attraction near St. Petersburg is Peterhof Palace. Construction was begun by Peter the Great in the early 1700s with the idea that this would be a country retreat. Then in 1714, Peter the Great commissioned the first real palace on the grounds after a visit to the French palace of Versailles. Through the early 18th century, Peter the Great built and expanded Peterhof Palace to include a large number of buildings and gardens, always with his eye to out-Versailles Versailles. Subsequent czars, including Catherine the Great and Nicholas II, continued to expand and build upon the vast complex of palaces and gardens. One thing unique to the grounds of Peterhof Palace are the incredible number of fountains scattered across the gardens and estates. From the fountains of Adam and Eve to Greek pantheon-like fountains, the water features of Peterhof Palace seem almost endless. Not necessarily comfortable with living in the large palace complex, the last Tsar of Russia, Nicholas II, spent most of his time in this rather small home. The somewhat solitary Nicholas, when forced into having a party or accommodating guests, was prone to practical jokes, as in having his guests set on these chairs and then having the water jets turned on, which would drench the bottom of his guest. Many of the water features are quite grand in structure, while others border on the whimsical and fantastical. Twice a day, the fountains near the main palace are turned on to the strains of Also Spach Zarathustra, to the delight of the visitors. This was the end of our second day in St. Petersburg, and we were happily on our way to our next stop, Helsinki, Finland. The next morning gave us a beautiful sail into Helsinki, Finland. We opted for the city tour of Helsinki, and first stop of the day was at the memorial for Finland's favorite son and composer, Jean Sibelius. Born in 1865 and died in 1957, Sibelius was a composer of the late Romantic and early modern periods. Sibelius is regarded as his country's greatest composer. The next stop was at one of the most recognizable structures in Helsinki, the Helsinki Cathedral. Located in the center of Helsinki at Senate Square, the church and the square offers a convenient place for people to just kind of sit down and chill for a while. They had several performers, including this, I don't know what it is, doing what I guess was busking for the people of the square. The square was also home to this statue memorializing Alexander II, Tsar of Russia, who in 1863 returned some measure of autonomy to Finland, who at the time was under the rule of the Russian Empire. Well, back on our bus, and we were on our way to our next and final stop, which was Stockholm, Sweden. The sail into Stockholm was undoubtedly the most serene and beautiful sail into any of the ports on this journey. Now, depending upon whom you ask, there are between 24,000 and 30,000 islands, islets, skerries, and just plain old rocks that fan out over 80 kilometers east into the Baltic Sea from the city of Stockholm. Together, all this roughage makes up what is called the Stockholm Archipelago. Many of the larger islands make up what constitutes part of Stockholm's suburbs, along with many of the smaller islands that have private campsites or even small homes built upon them. The city of Stockholm itself is built upon 14 islands connected with 57 bridges. From its humble beginnings as a Viking trading city built around 1000 AD, Stockholm has grown into the capital and largest city of Sweden, as well as the largest urban area in all of Scandinavia. With about 990,000 people living in Stockholm proper, 1.6 million in the urban area, and 2.5 million people living in the larger metropolitan area. While the area has been known to be settled since the Stone Age, around the 6th millennium BC, there is archaeological evidence that there have been humans living in the area since the Ice Age, as early as 8000 BC. One of our first stops with the included Viking tour was the Stockholm City Hall. Construction on the impressive City Hall was begun in 1911, and the building was opened to the public in 1923.
Of the parade, and the guns are loaded, by the way, so
Today, Stockholm is the cultural, media, political, and economic center of Sweden. Stockholm was officially founded as a city in 1252, and it is currently the seat of the Swedish government and houses the official residencies of both the Swedish monarch and the Prime Minister. And while the monarchy is for the most part ceremonial in nature, the official residency of the monarchy, Stockholm Palace, is the official residence and principal workplace for the Swedish monarch. The current King of Sweden, who is Carl Gustaf XVI, and his family make up the royals of Sweden. Well, that's it, and thank you for watching part 4 of our epic Viking Homelands journey. If you found any of this informative or interesting, please give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep track of newly issued videos. If you are interested in a Viking Sea ship tour and or dining guide, click the link above to watch part 5 of our Mediterranean Odyssey aboard the Viking Sea. Check out the rest of our videos and watch for more. And as always, we wish you safe and happy travels.